Welcome to EdScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here today with Tom Ryan. Tom is the Chief Information and Strategy Officer for the Santa Fe School Systems. He also is CEO of an education company that helps schools, and he currently serves as the chair of COSIN. Tom, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm enjoying my time here in Chicago.
Great. So first, give us a sense from your perspective on some of the top technology initiatives that you feel schools are really wrestling with right now that you're seeing, and particularly maybe relating to with the Santa Fe schools?
Well, a few years ago, the challenge was how do we get enough money to pay for all of the devices, and how do we build out this infrastructure? And when the online assessment initiative came through, schools invested quite a bit for several years in getting their networks up, and then we have gotten to a point where the devices are no longer $2,500 to buy a computer, but a lot less expensive now. And they're putting them in, but they're putting them in sometimes in a parallel effort to the instructional direction for the district. So we get the one-to-one, and we're teaching about how to use the apps, and we've got programs and things going on. But then we got the Common Core shifts that we're still trying to make, or this depth of knowledge that we're trying to deliver to kids, and we're not leveraging perhaps the combination of those in one plan, but two separate plans. So the struggle is still this instructional technology kind of divide that we're trying to overcome across the country. Large schools and small schools, it doesn't really matter.
And talk to me a little bit about a couple of initiatives that I know COSIN's currently involved with, starting with cybersecurity. I know they've just put out some new guidance to schools. Have you been involved in that? And what are some of the takeaways that you think schools need to really be looking at now that maybe they haven't been?
Again, years ago, we sort of had these closed networks, and we didn't have as much concern or worry. There were other focus for CIOs and school districts. And now with phishing attacks and DDoS and some of the other attacks that are happening to the system, both external and internal, sometimes it's our own kids that are experimenting and doing some activities that turn out to be impacting or malicious in the overall system. We've had to really up our game, and it's a challenge, especially in smaller rural areas, because they might not have experts in the area to come out and assist. And so it's conferences like COSIN and it's research papers that we put out that can help clue people into what do I need to do, what do I need to look for, and who's already doing it well.
Another area that COSIN initiated just before the conference started was a new document about evaluating opportunities with the cloud. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing schools going through? Obviously, a lot of their applications are already based in the cloud, but we're seeing schools now having to consider more of their databases and other systems moving to the cloud. What are you seeing in that front, and what kind of advice do you have for school districts?
I think there's several challenges with the shift to the resources in the cloud, and one of it's technical. And I think the technical issue is actually the easier of the challenges to tackle. Often school districts are using sponsors or vendors that live in the cloud and don't realize that they're in the cloud. So if you go and ask a school district if they're planning on moving in the cloud, or are they using it now, they don't know that yes they are. It's just that they have a third-party provider that is out there. So part of it is that. I think the harder issue, both for teachers and administration, is the cloud provides software as a service. Those things provide a different way of thinking about computing and interacting with other people. When I used to buy a machine and load all the software on it and keep it all there, well, that's a whole different world than going out to a collaborative document, sharing those, figuring out a different way to have meetings as opposed to sending an attachment back and forth. You link to a document that's out in the cloud, as for example. So it's a culture shift, and I think our kids, they already get it because of the gaming, right? They get on a game and they jump right out and they're playing people from around the world. They don't even think about it. But educators, gray hairs like me, wherever there is hair left, tend to still think of or conceptualize the world under this idea of everything's on my device, and and they lose the power of that collaborative workspace and the networking that can happen and the expansion of the environment to include more resources for kids, better communication across the district. We continue to rely on using or breaking the new system to make it look like, feel like the one I've always had.
Mm-hmm. And thinking of your role at COSA now, how would you advise IT directors around the country to think about some of the initiatives COSA's taking to better support them and help them in their professional development?
Well, COSA is really looking at what is it that our members need, both from surveys and questions of our membership on how we might serve them better, but also if you're in the role of a CIO, you don't need these individual assets or resources. Go to this website for one thing and go to another. How do we focus our work so that it's easier for that CIO to know where to get the resources they need to be successful? So we've created not only these white papers on security or assessment or one-to-one, but also this peer review process that takes a look at where are schools from the totality of the work that they're doing, from the view of the IT or of the technology, and how does that link with instruction and finance and HR? How is the infrastructure built out to the direction that you're trying to go for personalized learning or one-to-one? And give some insights and benchmark against other school districts. Where does a CIO go to learn their job, right? They grow up through the system. They might have come from instruction, they might have come from the IT side, but they really need this kind of team approach with people with different skill sets. And we mentioned security a little earlier. That can be, those hacks are getting to be much more sophisticated. And so how do you just learn the skills you need to be successful? And that's the big part of our COSA networking, to be able to connect people with the people and resources they need to be successful in the job they have to do in the future.
Well, Tom, thanks so much for taking some time to join us
really
today.
enjoyed it.
Wish you a lot of good luck with your year ahead at COSA and also with what you're doing out at Santa Fe Schools. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I'm Wyatt Cash with EdScoop TV. Thanks for watching.